Hello everyone, Rose here, bringing you what I read in March. Let's talk about that. So the first two things I read were two novellas. The first one was Husband Material by Brenda Jackson and Once Ghosted, Twice Shy by Alyssa Cole. Both of them are Black love romances. However, I already did a reading vlog of these particular novellas, so if you are interested in hearing my thoughts on those novellas, then I will leave a link of that video in the description box below. After the novellas, I read this. I think this is called a sequential arts comic. Let me explain. This is called the Chirp Book, specifically the Check Please Chirp Book by Ngozi Ukazu. So to further explain, the author, whilst she was publishing the Check Please comics, which were originally a web comic series, at the same time she was acting as the main character, Eric Biddle. She was pretending to be him. I'm sure that makes sense. And she was tweeting as Eric Biddle alongside the comics for I don't know how many years that she was posting this as a webcomic, a handful of years. The amount of work that went into that, oh my gosh. This is very much a companion piece to the Check Please comics, and you definitely need to have read the comics to follow along and frankly enjoy this. And if you are a big fan like me, I think you will also very much enjoy this. I got to learn just some more details about some of the characters and the story itself. I love that kind of thing, and I laughed so much when I was reading this. It brings me so much joy, and I'm so happy that I own this. My only critique of this is that I think in the editing phase there were some technical errors that were not caught. So for example, in the tweet timestamps, I think there were times when it was supposed to say AM rather than PM and vice versa. Yeah, that's it. In summary, 5 out of 5 stars for me. So much joy. Okay. And the next thing that I read is, I actually have it right here in front of me. It is Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. This is a YA contemporary, and first of all, let me just say, I love this. Second of all, ooh, I need some water. I love this. And third of all, let me actually tell you what this thing is about, what this story is about. Okay, the story is told from two perspectives. We have Zainab and Adam, who are two Muslim teenagers. They meet at the beginning of the story in a London airport. Both are on the way to their final destination, which is in Doha, Qatar. And yeah, they just kind of proceed to have these serendipitous meetings for a good portion of the book. Now, it's not a spoiler to say that Adam, he has been recently diagnosed with MS, or multiple sclerosis, and a big thing that he has to do in the book is tell his family. And then for Zainab, she, at the beginning of the story, she gets into some trouble at school, frankly, simply for existing, because Islamophobia is a thing, a very much alive thing that exists in the US. So Zainab, her story, it's her journey of self-discovery to understand how she's a very strong-willed person, someone who wants to fight injustice. How can she exist in this world? Okay, I really liked both of these characters. I definitely want to applaud the author, S.K. Ali, for writing teenagers that just weren't blatantly and obnoxiously reminding me that we are teenagers. They definitely had their moments, but for the most part, they were just people trying to live their life in this very complicated world. When it comes to, and this is not a spoiler, when it comes to the romance between these two, I think it was really well done. I will say at the same time that I feel just a tiny bit mixed on when in the story, when individually they were thinking, oh my gosh, I've fallen in love with this person. The way I kind of viewed it was more so, so you are on your way to falling in love with this person. I hope that made sense. But it's not a big deal. Again, I really want to emphasize that I stand by that overall. I think how their romance unraveled, really well done. They are a super cute couple, and some of their flirting So cute. So cute. Love that for them. Hi guys, I forgot to mention that my only other small critique is I feel that some of the character development for some of these side characters was lacking just a touch, but it's really not that big of a deal because in the end I would say that it did not impact the story overall. It did not majorly impact my enjoyment of the story overall, and yeah, that's it. Okay, back to my other self. Now, not only is this a love story, it's very much a story about personal growth for multiple characters. It's about the importance and beauty of friendship and family love and connection. It's about the importance of just having a supportive community around you. The author's writing style, I really liked it because everything from the pacing to sentence structure to punctuation and so forth, the way it came together, for me, it was new and unique. I just personally have not come across something like this. I liked it. I think one of the big messages, because there is more than one, but one of the big messages in the story is that it's okay to be vulnerable. It actually takes strength to be vulnerable. Y'all, the amount of therapeutic crying that went on in this book, that went on for these characters, love that for them. I love the fact of people embracing that it's good to cry, it's healthy to cry, and okay, moving on. I was invested with these characters. I was invested with the story. I felt emotional along with them. I've said this multiple times, but I'm a very character-driven person when it comes to stories, and I would definitely say this is a very character-driven story. So the fact that I could connect with them, love that. I really enjoyed learning more about Islam, especially through multiple Muslim characters in this book. Yeah, just them living their life. I really wish that places like Hollywood would show more representation like this in TVs and movies. So I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping all of this up. Freaking solid read. I definitely want to read more of S.K. Ali's work. I have, I think, all of her work currently on my TBR, on Goodreads, and I definitely think that really any teen age and anyone older like me should read this because there's a lot to learn. The story, especially Zainab, it really makes you want and need to just look at the world around you and to look outside of your own bubble and just to see what's going on and see what you can do to help. I think anyone and everyone should read this. Cool. And also now I can finally watch. Oh my gosh, I am thirsty again. Hold on. As I was saying, I am so excited to finally watch Saajid's. He did a review quite a while ago on this book, and I can finally watch that because I didn't want to watch anybody else's review and hear their thoughts before I read the book and reviewed it for myself. So now I can go watch that. And when I was checking his channel today, I also saw that he did an interview with the author S.K. Ali. So I've got 2 videos to watch. I am so excited about that. And also, just if you have not been watching, or if you don't know of Saajid, I'm going to leave a link of both of those videos and a link to his channel down below. You should definitely check him out. He's funny, he's such a warm person, and he's so smart. Y'all should go watch him. Cool. Okay. Hi, I'm popping in to say that I just finished watching Saajid's review of Love from A to Z, and yeah, I called it. I knew it. I knew it was going to be so good. His review is so good. I almost feel like apologizing that you had to watch mine. His is so thorough and well articulated, and he goes into so much more details. There are so many wonderful things that he pointed out that I just didn't. No particular reason. I just didn't. So yeah, please go watch his review. It's so good. It's funny. It's poignant. Cool. Bonk. I am now going to talk about, with a little dance, the final book that I read in the month of March, and that is If I Can Find My Place. It is a nonfiction book called, it's a long title, Bringing Up Bébé, One American Mother Discovers the Wisdom of French Parenting, by Pamela Druckerman. I listened to this on audiobook because I already owned it, and I do think that the production of that was well done. So the author, Pamela, this is just some background information, and this is told in the book itself. She is a Jewish woman from the US, and she is married to an Englishman, and they are raising their kids in France. And when she was living in the US, she was a journalist for about 6 years, working in New York specifically. So with that in mind, she used that particular skill set, being a journalist, and she used that to write this book and to collect the information that she needed for this book. Makes sense? We're good. She also makes it clear that she is writing this book from her perspective, and that is focusing on middle and upper middle class people from the US and France, because again, that is her lived experience. In a very storytelling format, the author lays out the key differences that she sees between parenting in the US and France. To be clear, I don't think the author was ever trying to say you can only learn these things in France. I did not interpret this book as her trying to say that France is the inventor of these particular techniques and skills, although I can see how some readers might view it as that. Now, there are several big takeaways in this book, but to keep things a little bit more brief, I'm only going to, in no particular order, I'm going to point out 3 things. Okay, I'm good. Number 1, babies, they pretty much need to be taught everything, and that includes sleep. Parents, they need to not only understand the sleep cycle of babies, but you need to be able to understand what their cries mean. For example, you need to understand this cry means that they are hungry, and this cry means that they are just fussy. And when they're fussy, a lot of times babies, they can soothe themselves if you give them the chance. Therefore, if you're picking up a baby all of the time, whenever that they make a noise, you're not helping anyone. You follow me? Tip number 2, teach your kids patience and the fact that they are not the center of the universe. Giving your child some structure and some guidelines to follow in life is not, in fact, hindering them from being creative or stifling their development. And number 3, this one is pretty short. Treat babies, toddlers, and kids as fully capable human beings. Treat them as equals. Honestly, I did find a lot of really good and useful tips in this book. There were some methods of parenting that I just honestly had not thought of, nor had I come across in my own personal upbringing. When it comes to nonfiction books, if you really prefer your information to be told in a very straightforward kind of bullet point format, I'm not sure if you will really enjoy this style of book. Again, because it's in a very storytelling format, so just keep that in mind. I also want to note that there is a bit of fat phobia in this book. A little bit does come from, I do think, the author herself, but also she lives in Paris, France, and at least to me, I think it's pretty common to know that there is a bit of a fat phobia culture that is present and kind of alive in Paris, France specifically, so just be aware of that. And lastly, there's something that happened it was in chapter 14, near the end of chapter 14, just a quote that I heard that, I caught that, and I'm gonna read, I wrote it down, I'm gonna read it to you right now. Quote, "I've accepted that if we stay in France, my kids probably won't learn to shoot a bow and arrow. God forbid they're ever attacked by 18th century American Indians." Now, I don't think I'm misinterpreting that, but this joke, yeah, that was made in poor taste. Ma'am, that's just a racist stereotype. Now, to summarize this entire story, this book, I would say I found it useful. I learned a lot of things, as I've said more than once. 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, so we are at the end. I would definitely say that my March reading was overall pretty successful. I think we all always love it when that happens. Have you all had a successful reading month of March? Did any of you also have any 4 or 5 star reads? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you all so much for watching. Gosh, I need to drink again. Please take care, everyone. And I will see you all in my next video. Is that all? Yeah, that's really all. Okay. Bye.